September 1991. High on the Tisenjoch Pass, the summer has eaten further into the ice than anyone can remember. Two hikers leave the marked route. Ahead of them, something brown is coming out of the glacier. They think it is rubbish at first. Then they see the shoulders and the back of a human head. They are standing further from a telephone than almost anywhere in Western Europe, and they are standing closer to the Copper Age than anyone has ever stood. The man in the ice died around 3,300 BCE. That is 5,300 years before the hikers found him. To reach his world, go down through the ice, past every summer that failed to melt it. Below the modern border, below the age of engines, below Rome, below the pyramids, which have not been built yet. Down to the same valleys, under the same passes, when the mountains already carried paths, and the paths already carried people. Dawn, in a valley below the pass, a fire that never fully dies is coaxed back to life. We will call this man Kel, because his real name is gone, and a man should have a name. He is in his middle years, small and lean and strong. His knees complain on the ladder. The goats complain about everything. His sister Senna is already up, and her boy Bren is already talking. The village smells of smoke, animals, and wet grass. It smells like home. 5,000 years before that word reaches us. Here is what the ice preserved. A man of about 45 years, roughly 160 centimeters tall, around 50 kilograms. A working body, worn the way working bodies wear. His joints show arthritis. His ribs show old, healed breaks. His arteries were hardening, and his gut carried parasites. None of this is unusual. That is the point. He is not a king, and not a mystery. He is a person in the middle of an ordinary, difficult life. This detail shows how closely their daily survival was bound to the resources of the immediate landscape. In the village, the day divides itself the way days do. Senna sorts hides by the door. Bren is sent for water twice, because the first time he came back with news instead. Kel checks the pens, then the fences, then the sky. The elder, Odo, sits where the sun lands first and says the weather will turn. Nobody writes any of this down. Nothing here is ever written down. Every name, every debt, and every promise lives in memory, or not at all. What makes this find unlike any other is not the body. It is the luggage. Almost everyone we recover from prehistory comes from a grave, arranged by other people, dressed in what the living chose. The man in the ice was not buried. He simply stopped, and the ice closed over him and everything he carried. An axe, a dagger, an unfinished bow, clothing, containers, medicine, tools for making fire. Not treasures chosen for a funeral. A kit chosen by a man for a journey. Evening. Kel climbs to the high fence line and looks south, where the valley bends away towards places he knows only by their goods. Bren follows, because Bren always follows. The boy asks how far the world goes. Kel considers the ridges, one behind another, fading into haze. Further than the flint comes from, he says, further than the metal. Then he sends the boy down to eat and stays a while himself, watching the light leave the pass. We even know where he grew up. Teeth store the chemistry of childhood water, and bones store the chemistry of adult life. His teeth point to a valley near modern Feldtorns in the Isak Valley. His bones point west, to the Vinch-Alloen and the lower Utztal Alps. A life lived within a day or two of walking, between a childhood valley and an adult one. He was local. The mountains he died in were the mountains he knew. At night, the village draws in around its fires, and the fires draw stories out of the people. Tonight, it is Odo's turn. The one about the winter the wolves came down, which grows a new wolf every second year. Kel listens with his hands busy, rewrapping the grip of the flint dagger, working wax into a bowstring that is not for the new bow, because the new bow is not ready and has not been ready for a season. Senna catches his eye across the flames and nods at Bren, asleep mid-story, and Kel carries the boy to bed like a sack of very important grain. One more thing before we leave the ice, about the Find's second life. The body and the kid went first to a laboratory and then home to Bolzano in South Tyrol, to a museum built around one man. There he lies in a cold chamber, tended like a patient, studied like a library. 3 decades of research teams have read his bones, his gut, his genes, his tools, and his clothes, and they are not finished. Nearly everything this series will show you traces back to that room, and to the people who keep asking one frozen stranger careful questions. And then it is dawn again, because in Kel's world, it is always eventually dawn again. And the fire needs coaxing, and the goats need everything. He steps out into the cold with his breath ahead of him, and the year ahead of that. Soon, the snow will leave the high shoulders of the mountain, and the flock will grow restless, and the whole village will feel the pull of the summer pastures. That is the next story. For now, there is only the morning, and the work in it, and a man doing the work 5,000 years ago, entirely unaware of being remembered. So, what do we actually know? The discovery is fact. 2 hikers, September of 1991, the Tisenjoch Pass. The dating is fact. He lived around 3,300 BCE. His age, his height, his worn joints and healed ribs, and the childhood written in his teeth, all evidenced. Here is what is not. His name is unknown, and it will stay unknown. Kel is our invention. So are Senna, Bren, and Odo, and every word anyone speaks. That is this series' contract. The fiction fills the gaps between facts. It never overwrites them. And every episode ends here, in this room, telling you which was which.